Sometimes what seemed clever back in the day turned out to be downright risky over time. Today, we're going to explore 10 dangerous tractor features that once roamed our farms but slowly disappeared. It's a fascinating look at how safety rules and good old common sense helped shape the modern farming world. Let's go through each one, understand how they worked, and see why they didn't stick around. Ready? Let's jump in. Number 10. Exposed flywheels and hand cranks. In the early 1900s, before electric starters became common, many tractors used large open flywheels or hand cranks to get the engine going. The idea behind hand cranking was simple: you'd turn the crankshaft by hand until the engine started. This worked well back when battery systems were basic. But these exposed flywheels and cranks came with serious dangers. If the engine backfired or misfired, the crank could jerk violently, break your arm, or even throw you backwards. Historical records from the University of Nebraska's tractor test lab show that many beginners got hurt using hand cranks. The early Fordson Model F, made between 1917 and 1928, was especially known for this. Although it brought affordable tractors to many farms, it also introduced plenty of hazards. A single misstep during starting could lead to a painful injury. Some people ended up with long-term wrist or shoulder problems. Despite the risks, many farmers put up with it, since just owning a tractor was a big improvement. But as battery and electric starter technology got better, companies started offering safer ways to start engines. By the late 1930s, several brands had electric starters built in. This change made starting tractors easier and safer. Hand cranks were slowly replaced by enclosed systems that kept you away from moving parts. When this old method finally disappeared, it was a relief for many farmers. While the image of hand cranking a tractor at sunrise might seem charming, there's a good reason it's part of the past. Farm life was hard enough without risking a broken limb. Number 9. Tricycle front ends. One of the most familiar images of mid-1900s farming is the tricycle-style tractor with two front wheels close together under the engine. Brands like Farmall made this design popular in the 1930s and 40s. It offered excellent turning ability, especially for row crops. With the narrow front, farmers could steer between rows easily and work in tight spots. It was useful at the time, but not the safest idea. The problem? Those close-together front wheels made the tractor much easier to tip over on uneven land. If one wheel dropped into a hole or the driver turned too sharply, the whole machine could flip. Reports from the National Safety Council said rollovers were common. People often forgot just how unsteady these tractors could be, especially when carrying loads or working on small slopes. And if a tractor tipped, it was nearly impossible to jump out of the way in time. Models like the Farmall H&M sold in huge numbers and changed how farms operated. But the risks were always there. Over time, wider front ends and added weights helped fix the problem. By the 1960s, more stable. Number 8. Steel lug wheels. Before rubber tires became common, many tractors ran on solid steel wheels with sharp metal lugs or cleats. This setup was common in the early 20th century, especially on machines like the Fordson Model F or early Rumley oil-pull tractors. The thinking was that the metal lugs could dig into soft ground and give better grip. While that part worked okay, the rest wasn't so great. Steel lug wheels made for a very bumpy ride. On hard surfaces, they shook both the tractor and the driver with every bump. Worse still, those sharp lugs were like spinning blades. If someone got too close, they could be badly hurt or worse. During the 1920s and 30s, there were many reports of workers getting their legs badly injured after slipping near moving tractors. The wheels were also unsafe on roads. They offered no flexibility and could slide on pavement. Some states even banned them on highways because they tore up the road. As rubber tires improved by the late 1930s, they began to take over. Companies like Firestone promoted rubber tractor tires as safer and more comfortable. Rubber tires didn't just help with traction, they reduced driver fatigue and were gentler on roads and people nearby. Today, seeing steel lug wheels reminds us of how tough and dangerous early farming could be. Rubber tires made farms more efficient and much safer for everyone. Number 7. Uncovered power takeoff shafts. The power takeoff shaft, or PTO, was a game changer. It allowed tractors to transfer engine power to machines like balers, mowers, and augers. But early versions of PTOs had a big problem: they were often completely uncovered. This made it easier to hook up equipment, but it also created a huge safety hazard. The spinning shaft moved at high speeds, and anything loose, clothing, hair, or hands, could be pulled in almost instantly. Farm accident records from the 1940s and 50s are full of tragic stories involving PTO injuries. Some people lost arms or legs, while others suffered terrible damage that changed their lives. Although some tractors came with optional guards, many farmers removed them, thinking they got in the way. But as time went on, experts and safety organizations pushed for better protection. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health called unguarded PTOs one of the biggest dangers in farming. Eventually, it became the rule, not just a suggestion, that all PTOs must be properly shielded. Modern tractors come with full PTO covers and warning labels. These simple shields save lives and prevent injuries. While old, exposed PTOs might look cool in a museum, on a working farm they'd be a real hazard. Number 6. No rollover protection. Tractor rollovers are still one of the main causes of death on farms. Back in the mid-1900s, tractors were made without rollover protection structures, also known as ROPS. Many people thought they could just jump clear if the tractor started to tip, but this idea was both wrong and dangerous. Rollovers happen fast. In most cases, there's no time to escape. Without ROPS, drivers could be crushed under the heavy machine. Brands like John Deere and International Harvester didn't include these safety frames at first because there were no rules requiring them, and buyers didn't want to pay extra. As tractors got stronger and more common on hilly land, the number of rollover accidents went up. In the 1960s, safety experts started pushing for ROPS to be added to all new tractors. But it wasn't until the 1970s that many countries passed laws requiring them. Older tractors were supposed to be upgraded, but that often didn't happen. Eventually, more people saw the value of these systems. ROPS, when used with seatbelts, form a protective zone that keeps the driver safe if the tractor flips. They've saved countless lives since their introduction. Thinking back to the time before ROPS shows just how far we've come in tractor safety. Today, few would dare to drive without one. Number 5. Bad exhaust placement and dangerous fumes. In older tractor models, the exhaust pipes were often placed right in front of the driver or under the seat. Tractors like the Farmall F Series or John Deere Model B had exhaust systems that sent fumes directly where the operator was sitting. Breathing those fumes for long hours, especially in barns or sheds, wasn't just unpleasant, it was dangerous. Carbon monoxide, an invisible and odorless gas in exhaust, can make people dizzy, confused, or worse. Some operators worked for hours without realizing they were in danger. To make matters worse, the hot exhaust pipes were sometimes located near pedals or footrests, causing serious burns if you slipped. Fires were also a problem. Sparks from these open pipes could ignite straw or dry crops. Some barn fires were linked to bad exhaust design. Over time, companies learned it was safer to route the muffler upward and away from the driver. By the 1950s, most new tractors had vertical exhaust stacks. Modern engines now have cleaner exhaust systems and sometimes even catalytic converters. These upgrades reduce heat, noise, and pollution. Looking back, it's clear that moving exhaust pipes was a big step forward for both safety and comfort. Number 4. No seat belts or suspension seats. For many years, tractors didn't come with seat belts or even proper seats, for that matter. Early models often had metal or wooden seats bolted right onto the frame. These seats offered no cushion, no suspension, and no real support. Hitting a bump or hole could send a driver flying or cause serious back pain after a long day. Even as padded seats became more common, seatbelts were still missing on most machines. Many farmers didn't think they needed them. After all, you're not going very fast, right? But when rollovers happened, not having a seatbelt made everything worse. Without one, even if your tractor had a ROPS frame, you could be thrown out and crushed. Studies in the 1970s and 80s showed that seatbelts saved lives, but only when used together with rollover bars. That's when manufacturers started including both. Today, most modern tractors have suspension seats that adjust to your weight and movement. Some even have air ride systems, like in big trucks. Adding seat belts and better seats was a big step in making farming more comfortable and much safer. Looking back, it's hard to believe we ever worked without them. Number 3. Open operator platforms. Many early and mid-century tractors were built with wide open platforms. There were no doors, no cab walls, no safety rails, just a seat and some pedals. If you hit a bump, lost your balance, or slipped off the clutch, there was nothing stopping you from falling off. And falling off while the tractor was moving could lead to serious injury or worse. There were also cases where people were run over by their own machines after falling off the seat. Kids or riders sometimes rode on the fenders or steps, which was especially dangerous. These areas weren't made for passengers, and many fatal accidents happened that way. Slowly, things started to change. Manufacturers added footboards, safety switches that stopped the engine if the operator left the seat, and better platforms with non-slip surfaces. Eventually, enclosed cabs with doors and glass windows became more popular, especially in cold or dusty areas. These cabs didn't just protect you from falling, they also shielded you from the weather, bugs, and loud noise. Today's cabs often include air conditioning, heat, radios, and even touchscreens. They make the job easier and help you stay alert. While open-air tractors still have a place in certain fields, they're rarely used without caution today. Cabs made farming not just safer, but more comfortable, too. Number 2. Manual clutches without safety interlocks. In older tractors, starting the engine with the clutch engaged could send the machine lurching forward. There were no safety switches to prevent the engine from turning over while in gear. This caused many accidents, especially when tractors were parked on slopes or near buildings. You might climb on, turn the key, and if the tractor was left in gear, it would start moving instantly, sometimes with no one at the wheel. This problem led to injuries, broken fences, damaged equipment, and sadly, even lives lost. These early clutches were often stiff and hard to press, especially for younger or older operators. In cold weather, they could stick or freeze. This led to unpredictable movements when starting or shifting. Some models also had hand clutches, which added to the risk if they slipped or were bumped accidentally. By the 1970s, safety rules required that tractors could only be started in neutral, or with a safety switch that disabled the starter unless the clutch was pressed. These simple features prevented thousands of accidents. Today, starting a tractor is a lot safer. You'll hear a beep or see a warning light if something's not right. It's easy to forget how risky things used to be. Back then, a small mistake could lead to big trouble. Safety switches are now standard, and they've made a huge difference. Number 1. No lights or reflectors. Before the 1960s, many tractors didn't come with headlights, taillights, or even reflectors. This wasn't a problem when tractors stayed in the field. But as farms grew and roads became busier, tractors started spending more time traveling between locations. That's when things got dangerous. A tractor with no lights, driving down a country road at dusk or dawn, was nearly invisible. Cars going 50 miles an hour couldn't see them until it was too late. Rear-end collisions became more common. And with tractors being slow and heavy, these crashes were often deadly. Even during the day, a tractor without reflective tape or a slow-moving vehicle, SMV, sign was hard to spot. Drivers didn't always expect to see farm equipment on the road, and some didn't slow down in time. This led to many preventable tragedies. Laws eventually required tractors to have working lights, brake lights, turn signals, and SMV triangles. Some states also added rules about when tractors could be on the road. Modern tractors now include full lighting systems and hazard flashers, helping them stand out on busy roads.